Big day in the Pac-12. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the game we love each and every day. And, of course, it's week 8 of college football. And, yes, I know you Pac-12 critics and detractors think that saying big game in Pac-12, that's an oxymoron. It can't be. No games in the Pac-12 are relevant. And you're probably right on the national scale. The chances of the Pac-12 reaching the college football playoff are minuscule. But, number one, conference championships still mean a lot to me and the voice of college football. Yes, they mean a lot to us. Also, if there is a chance that the Pac-12 reaches the college football playoff, it all rides, it appears, on the shoulders of the Oregon Ducks. Oregon at Washington with the Ducks' most difficult games in conference play in front of it. Oregon came into this game 8th in the nation in scoring defense, actually 4th in points per game, 8.7, 8th in total defense at less than 267 yards per game, taking on Washington. The Huskies came out hot. Oregon, a 3-point favorite, even in Seattle. And, of course, the Huskies, the defending conference champions, and a proud program with an excellent coach in Chris Peterson. We should have expected that this one would go down to the wire. Salvin Ahmed with a big run, perfectly blocked. And this game actually featured two of the best offensive lines in college football. Yes, a Pac-12 game featuring two of the top 5 offensive lines in college football. In this particular play for a long run with the score tied at 7 in the second quarter was beautifully blocked, like picture-perfect, classic blocking by the Washington Huskies. It's interesting to note, I don't know how this played out today, but going into this game, Oregon so diversified on defense in posting the numbers that I just mentioned, and the best offense that they've played to date, probably Auburn. Colorado and California have a pulse, but not good offenses at this scale. So it's not like Oregon's been tested in those gaudy defensive statistics have come against excellent teams at 8 points per game and 268 yards per game, and they proved it today. They showed some leaks, but interesting that they're so diversified in defense that they had a leading tackler, a different leading tackler in each game this season leading into this one. Jacob Eason up top to Jordan Shin. It was a thing of beauty. Jordan Shin had only caught 2 passes this year. This was just his second reception, but he burned Thomas Graham. And Jacob Eason, yes, he's a 5-star, a former 5-star, and he showed off the throwing ability. He was throwing darts today, and he went up top, and Washington led it 14-7. Oregon came out of the gate, took the lead 7-0, 12 plays, 75 yards for a touchdown. That was the first drive of the game. After that, 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. Justin Herbert started 5 for 6. Then he went 0 for 6, 24 for 38 on the day, 280 yards with 4 touchdown passes. Justin Herbert, though, misses some throws. All quarterbacks miss throws, but he's missing more throws than I would think a top 5 NFL pick would miss. We're going to spotlight center Nick Harris. This was a beautifully executed play by the center for Washington, one of the best in the business, along one of the best offensive lines, not just in the Pac-12, but in the nation. He stoned the defensive tackle. He then got out on the route and blocked for tight end Hunter Bryant on a long gainer. It was beautifully done. Hunter Bryant, one of the more athletic tight ends you'll see, 3 catches for 65 yards, just highlighting Nick Harris's play. Unfortunately for Nick Harris, just a couple plays later, he snapped one behind Jacob Eason for a 16-yard loss and basically killed the series. Let's skip ahead to Washington leading 28-14 and then 31-21. 10-point lead. We've got about 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Cyrus Habibi-Likio. This kid had only carried the ball 34 times this year, and for some reason they thought that he needed the ball in his hands. C.J. Verdell possibly hurt in this one. I don't know his status, but Likio looked really good. They gave this kid the ball, 34 attempts the entire year. They're down 31-21 in the late third quarter. Oregon went for it at their own 34 on 4th and close to 2. And Likio ran for the first down. Then the very next play, they gave it to him, and he ripped off 16 yards, and it was a thing of beauty. He gets into the secondary, completely hurdles a Washington defensive back. Likio finished with 14 carries for 81 yards. All right. They got that 4th and 1.5 conversion. Then later in the drive, 4th and 3, Micah Pittman, beautifully executed play once again, drawn up as he started in motion going from left to right. He stopped. The DB who was tracking him continued across the formation. They snapped the ball at the time at which Pittman pivoted. He went out and caught the ball out of the backfield on the 4th and 3 and went 36 yards for the touchdown. And Oregon was only down 31-28 at this point. The double motion fooled Washington, and it's 31-28 after trailing by 14. Oregon, 14 plays, 70 yards to win the game. Justin Herbert on the first play of the drive, 20 yards to Johnny Johnson, who caught 5 for 90 to lead the Ducks. Travis Dye ripped off a 21-yard run. He went 8 carries for 51 yards. And then Herbert, the touchdown to Jalen Redd. They sent him out of the backfield. He's caught touchdowns in 5 consecutive games, and Oregon wins at 35-31. The Oregon Ducks defense, which leaked throughout the game, didn't show the prowess that they had shown against lesser opponents, did stand up tall in the fourth quarter. On the final 3 possessions, Washington went 3 and out, and then got stopped on downs. That was the series in which they needed it. Last series of the game that ended the game, Jacob Eason hit Cade Otton for 22 yards to get it started. Washington drove down to the Oregon 35. It got stopped on 4th and 3. So the Oregon defense holds, plays much better in the second half after giving up 28 points early, and win it 35-31. The Ducks are now 4-0 in the Pac-12, and they have finally played one of the better teams in the Pac-12. They've got a win against Cal. That was important as well, trailing in that one early 7-3 and then winning 17-7. So the road for Oregon, though, since they have a backloaded schedule, still difficult, but they've got such a big lead in the division at this point, with Washington falling to 2-3 and having already defeated Stanford and Cal, the other 2 likely competitors, along with possibly Washington State. Oregon has Washington State next week. So that would be the one team that could knock off Oregon, get within a game, and then obviously if Oregon trips up elsewhere, they've got the tiebreaker. So the Washington State game is enormous. Again, Washington State at home in Eugene. Then they go to USC. Then they've got Arizona State, and Oregon State. So minus the Beavers game, and Oregon State playing much better recently with wins over Cal and UCLA. But Oregon's got difficult sledding to not only reach the Pac-12 championship game, but keep hopes alive for the Pac-12 in the playoff. For Washington, it's just can you improve your stock to get to a bowl game at this point? The Huskies, unexpectedly, we expected a bit of a dip this year after going to the Rose Bowl last year and winning the Pac-12. I picked Oregon and Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. I will stay with that pick. Washington falls to 2-3, 5-3 overall. They've got a date with Utah after a bye week on November 2nd. Your thoughts about the Ducks? Can they make the college football playoff? They've got the one loss to Auburn. Of course, they led most of that game, probably outplayed the Tigers for about 55 game minutes, led 21-6 at one point, blew it late, and they play in the weak Pac-12. Weak meaning no elite teams. It's a deep conference. It's a strong conference from 1 to about 9. My thoughts on Oregon and Washington right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I think the other 4 conferences are going to comprise the college football playoff, but keep an eye on the Ducks. They are most likely the best representative since Utah's loss is to USC. They won't get credit for their out-of-conference schedule, which is garbage, BYU, and nobody else. So it's on Oregon out of the Pac-12 for the college football playoff, and that chance is slim. Lock it in right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please like, share the videos, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you with more instant analysis.